Light the farm up!
Welcome to GRLPI, December 7th, 2024. Buckle in for amazing bits of wisdom and a link in the footnotes to a place you can go directly live into action. Let's go to the show now.
A lot of attendees. There was such interest at the event we had this summer. There was the permaculture convergence. At the end of that, the energy was just tremendous. And we had dozens of people said they want to be involved and help move things forward. So this is the first time that we've had this kind of a meeting to really show where we are, what we've done, and how we can move forward, but how we need the help of all of you. And so at that, Kelly, if you want to pull up the presentation that you have, I can sort of go through that.
Okay.
What I'd like to do is just to talk, we're going to start with what permaculture, what Great Rivers and Lakes permaculture is, and introduce the board. I'd ask Peter to give a real brief overview, just so everyone has an idea of sort of the origin and the history, and also our ties to PINA, how that all works. And then
Okay.
I'd like to just talk about the circles, because that's really where the work happens for helping to create events, to do outreach, to provide member services, and so forth.
Okay, so I'm just trying to. Okay. I guess I'll just. Are you seeing my screen now?
Yes, thank you.
All right, let me get present. Sorry. This always happens. I was just there. And present. Oh, here we go.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, you can move on through it. I'm going to go to the next slide. Thank you.
All right. So you want narration on this?
Go ahead, Peter. You want to just talk about a little bit about GRLPI? That would be great.
Yeah, maybe there are newer board members here, and also some people who are not board members might know something about the organization. The origins of this lie in a conversation that I had with Rhonda Baird probably 12 years ago, maybe more, about how we lifted our teaching work and other work in Indiana and Ohio and elsewhere to another, in Michigan, to Illinois. We taught at all four of those states at least, to another level. And fairly soon after that, we reached out to Penny Kerbeil of Traverse City, Michigan, who agreed to join with us in an effort to set up an organization that could help network and link permaculturists across the Great Lakes region. I am sitting here both as treasurer of GRLPI and as executive director and former president of the board of PINA, which is Permaculture Institute of North America. And GRLPI has a affiliate relationship. We're called a hub. We were the first hub of PINA's continental network. So there's a vision there to have a decentralized network connected through a continental coordinating group. And PINA has been around 12 years now. GRLPI most of that time. So we incorporated, Rhonda did the work in Indiana in 2015, and the following year, with a grant from PINA, a small grant, we recruited a number of people, some of whom are still with us, Braden and Sabrena primarily, but also a few other people, to gather on retreat and plan out how to form this organization. This was early 2016, and we went to the Moon Tree Lodge in Donaldson, Indiana, which is on the campus of a religious order, actually, there, but they have guest facilities. We stayed, we were there for a weekend, and we cooked up a whole bunch of ideas. And we had people from Wisconsin, Kate Hyber-Cobb, who's a teacher in Madison, from Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, and later on, we have brought in board members from all 6 states at different times. Right now, we're missing representation from Wisconsin and Kentucky, but we have board members from all 4 of the other states. So what do we do? Well, we're committed. Our mission is for education, research, and mutual aid, in the sense of supporting each other, helping, exchanging resources. We are part of the PINA diploma program. We uphold our end of it in this region by identifying candidates for the diploma, by helping those who are in the diploma program complete their work. Chris Smyth here listening in is one of those who's very close to finishing. We have other diplomates, myself, my husband, Keith Johnson, Rhonda Baird, all diplomates. Braden and Sabrena are qualified, haven't taken the certificate yet. So we do education. We'd like to do research more than we have. Part of that's funding related. We have ideas for a mapping project. We have all kinds of other stuff in the intellectual pipeline, not yet accomplished, but we would do it if we had more people help and more funding. We're working on both of those, and this meeting is part of the former, getting people excited about this project and willing to help. So maybe that's enough of a thumbnail on GRLPI. We can always answer questions, but perhaps if there are other elements in the slideshow, Kelly, we can move on to the next slide.
Okay. Oh, okay. I guess that's it.
Well, there's a bit of history. We attended. Some of us attended. Penny and Rhonda and Keith and I went to Minnesota in 2014 for the very first North American Permaculture Convergence, and there we met Braden and William Faith from Chicago, who was a leader of the community there, a teacher, and they agreed to join the board. So they participated in the founding planning sessions at Donaldson, Indiana, and we announced ourselves, and we got, Penny's lovely logo there showing up, Great Rivers and Lakes. We have it in several colors. What ties this region together are all the waters that came out of the glaciers. So we're kind of central to North America. We're kind of the organizing location. The waters of the Ohio, the Scioto, the Wabash, the Illinois, the Wisconsin all flowed out of glacial outwash. They formed the lakes, they formed the rivers. And so we've kind of flipped the conventional Great Lakes onto Great Rivers and Lakes to point that out to people. That's how we got our name.
Great, thank you.
Maybe, yeah. Next.
The next page.
Yeah. This 6-state region was originally, because of the ease of transport by river and water and lakes, this was a pivotal region during the time pre-settlement. The Odawa, who centered at the Straits of Mackinac, the hinge point of all the Great Lakes, were political masters. They swung weight between the northwestern territories up into Saskatchewan and all the way down to Montreal, trading furs and balancing political alliances and so on. And these states that we represent in our regional organization here also were later then organized around this transport by the auto industry, which mined iron ore up in the Mesabi Range and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and shipped it by freighter down to Muskegon Harbor here near us. And they were there cast into engine blocks and run by railroad over to Dearborn and Detroit and Pontiac and so on, assembled into cars. And the parts of the industry were in Indiana and Illinois and Ohio and Kentucky. Big plants, even, American Motors was at Kenosha, Wisconsin for a long time. So that was the industrial period that organized the region. So we have all these links that are nascent or vestigial, and we're trying to now create a in Andy's terms, a biotic intelligence for this region, that it connects us all more in a way of a fungal network of people and collaborations.
Exactly.
See the next picture?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great graphic, by the way, Kelly. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks.
So here we are. This is the board, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 names are board, and Julia is our newly hired administrative assistant. So I think other than Julie, we're all on this call.
No, Julie.
Oh.
Listen.
That's nice job there. We've always tried for complete representation, but as I said, there's some gaps. The board could be bigger than it is. We could have people from Kentucky and Wisconsin. We recently lost our former vice president, Drew Carlson, not to any tragedy, but just because he stepped down off the board to do other things, run cattle among other them. And we've had involvement in all those areas. We've gone to ag shows, we've put on supported convergences, we've given talks, and so we'll do it again. And we're very glad to welcome the newer members of the board here, Graham and Kelly. Andy's been with us for most of a year, I think. Julie, too.
Next.
Yeah. Is there more? Okay. So maybe, Sabrena, you'd like to talk about organizational structure in terms of the circles this is.
Yes, this is getting into, I have a PowerPoint that I can show that just really talks about, this is a membership organization. That is how we formed as a nonprofit. And we are all about, there is no bricks and mortar. It's all about members working together for the good of our members to strengthen the permaculture community, to try and support permaculturists on their next step, and also extend permaculture to a wider audience. So our members are not just, graduates of the permaculture design course. It's anyone that really is interested, but there are opportunities for individuals to continue to grow through the PDC, through the diploma process, and through the education process that we hope to continue to offer. The sociocracy model is the way. It's a dynamic governance where it's really from the general membership. And patterns to details is a phrase we often use in permaculture. So the circles here represent how we have been set up. Rhonda Baird did a tremendous job of kind of creating this sort of framework that we can work within, where we have the interconnected circles of responsibilities. And I can try and share my screen now.
I think Kelly will have to discontinue the slides.
Okay, let me see if I can share
Oh my goodness.
screen. Okay. And from the beginning. Can everybody see my screen?
Oh, yeah.
And trying to get it to go. There we are. So the general circle is really the members, where we are coordinating and developing the work of the organization. And then there's the opportunity to participate as, let me see if I can move this, in the different circles that we have. So you can see how the circles surround with the board of directors at the top, where we're creating the vision and interest. And you can see how there's different leaderships back and forth, where each representative can, report to a general circle where the membership has, so there's opportunity for conversations where a general circle is the general membership, but ultimately we'd like to have a general circle that is the sort of the whole heart of the organization, where we have leaders and from the different circles or different membership committees. So within each committee, there's a secretary and a facilitator, and there's back and forth of communication and interaction. So the board of directors, of course, you saw those of us that are on the board of directors. We are leading the vision and the mission, managing the governance and the finance. So those are sort of subcommittees within the board of directors. The outreach committee is a really important circle because we are a very, very small group. Permaculture is not a huge quantity of people in the world in general, but trying to reach the permaculturists in our bioregion or in our 6-state region is important because we want to gather and connect them and support them and help to nurture them on in their work and create these opportunities for educating all of us and working together. It's a really important time for us to do this kind of work for the planet. So with outreach, we are working, we have a website up. We have been working on brochures and publications. This is the part of the organization that, puts out newsletters for non-members. Currently, our newsletter is going to the whole entire non-member and member group. We would like to have it separated down the road so that there's a newsletter at least annually for non-members, people that are on our mailing list that are interested, and then have a more frequent newsletter that's going out to just the membership. At least that's a possibility. We also have social media accounts. Permaculture Crossing is a new sort of a social website where we can go. It's on Mighty Networks. Mighty Networks is, that is through PINA. Peter, do you want to explain that a little bit more, or Braden, perhaps you can?
I'd be happy to. The Permaculture Institute of North America, in cooperation with its fiscal agent, Association for Regenerative Culture, which is a North Carolina-based nonprofit I helped to found 20 years ago, and a true charity. The footnote here, GRLPI and PINA are both 501c6 trade organizations. That is, we're here to lobby for, advocate for, help to organize and lift up the profession of permaculture and the practice of permaculture. So we're tax exempt, but we don't give tax credits to donors. We have to associate with real charities, 501c3s, to do that. And each organization has that. All right. So PINA and ARC, a year and a half ago, got together and almost 2 now, took over a Mighty Network platform being run by the Southeast Texas Permaculture Network and expanded it, and it's just crossed the threshold of 1,000 members. It's a very welcoming and free social media platform dedicated to permaculture in North America. It has spaces for all kinds of different interest groups, our regional hub has a space there, and we're in the process of moving more of our conversations and our activities over there. It's possible to put on courses through the crossing. It goes by the name the Permaculture Crossing, or PCX, as a shorthand, sort of like a railroad or something. Anyway.
Also worth mentioning, Peter, that it doesn't track you, that it's privately paid, that it's, with Facebook and other social media, you are the product.
We're not selling anybody's names. You can join for free and participate on your terms. There are public spaces, private spaces you can ask to join, and secret spaces, which are just for people who are doing particular kinds of business. It's pretty lively, so I encourage people to check it out. If you don't know how to get there, contact one of us and we'll put you in touch. But pcx.pina.com should get you there. Or pina.in, rather.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, please participate there. Join us on Facebook. We really do need people to participate in our Facebook page. Not only is there the Great Rivers and Lakes Permaculture page, which you can find. We have a member page where you can post, and it is Midwest Permaculture. And then I think GRLPI is in parentheses under that. So please make sure you go and participate there. Outreach also, we're looking to potential partners and members. So really reaching out and connecting others so that we can build the network. And like Peter was speaking about, we want to be sort of the mycelia that runs between all of these different organizations and permaculturists and permaculture interest groups.
If I could interject here briefly before you move and talk more about membership, just outreach. One of the main ways we've done outreach is that we have put on gatherings. We've had salons online and programs of various kinds, but primarily we started doing face-to-face live events, and we kind of had a hiccup after the pandemic, but we're back in that saddle. We've now done at least 7 by my count. Chicago, Cincinnati, Akron, Ann Arbor, where else? Just recently, of course, at Bloomingdale, Michigan, James's campground, Heart Valley Springs. We had one at Circle Pines in central Michigan 3 years ago. We've sponsored and participated in 2 permaculture convergences in Wisconsin, organized by folks across the lake from me. So that way of meeting face-to-face has been a real mainstay of our outreach, and we're building around that. It's been a really important way, and people hunger for that. Okay, enough of my homily.
Great, thank you. That was helpful. Membership. The membership circle is really about providing the services and educational programming to members, whether that's professional development or information about, with resources. Education is always helpful in a member organization. So we do have a website. Our website is set up so that we can have some more specific things for members only on it. And as mentioned earlier, we also plan to have a member email that goes out on a regular basis. So providing member services is something that we really need to amp up. We intend to have feature members on our website and in our newsletter. There is in membership, you can be a general member, or you can also be a professional member. So being able to highlight our professional members, and if we have sponsors, also highlight those, and provide a list of fellow members if you're interested in being on a list that is shared with other members. That is something else that we would like to develop. The diploma process was mentioned. I don't know that we need to get into much further discussion at this point. If there's interest in discussing that after the, this introduction, I think that might be of value. But that all comes under the membership circle. The event circle, as Peter was mentioned, we are trying to do annual permaculture convergences. Those have been really, really well received. And this last one, I don't know about those of you that attended, but I thought it was really the most powerful to date, and has really brought people together. And I don't know, it just felt like all of us working together towards this common vision. And that's what this organization is all about. There were challenges when the storms came and everybody pitched in, and it just really, I think that it helped to meld us into a unity of where it wasn't just us presenting to you, but all of us collaborating to make this event happen. We also have had a course. I know that we did a forest gardening course, which was in 2020. That was a hybrid course where it was in person. We also tried to run it so that you could join virtually. So continuing to offer courses is something that we want to do. And as Peter said, we have had online events, including salons. So for the last few winters, we have had in, I think, January, February, March or so, a monthly salon, which is a program where we have a speaker and opportunity to have conversations around different topics. So classes, meetups where we just, get together and talk about and answer questions and discuss things online. All of those have been happening, and there's opportunity for so much more. It's a matter of seeing where the interest lies and who wants to do the work to put things together. Policy and advocacy is another one of our circles. Here we identify and promote the policies and best practices at varied community scales. So we hope to put together, things that cities can go to and look to for best practices, and start teaching our communities about permaculture. This is also where Permaganics authenticated certification process for farms lives and is run through. And I don't know if, Braden, you want to give a brief overview of that?
Yeah. Permaganic authenticated. It's approved by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office as a certification mark, similar to USDA organic. It was the world's first regenerative farm certification or permaculture certification approved by the USPTO. And we have a handful of farms scattered across the region that have been certified. It's one of the highest standards in the field, which really it's based on permaculture. A lot of what you see out there with regenerative organic, it's not very well defined yet. But because permaculture is well defined, it's, really modeling after nature, and looking at how we can scale up basically what's come to be defined as regenerative agriculture in the last 10 years. But we were approved by the USPTO back in 2017. We are always looking for certifiers as well as farms as well across the region. And and you can find it on our website, which I shared, greatriversandlakes.org. There's a whole page to Permaganics. And you can message us if you'd like to get certified. Peter, I see you.
Just a comment here. I know that our focus has been on farms up to this point, but I believe the standard is perfectly well applicable to regenerative enterprises that are not only land-based.
Yeah.
We have a number of, members in this network.
Could you give some examples of what that means?
By regenerative enterprise?
Yeah, that are non-land based, just for reference.
For a business, for example, that might be supplying the permaculture trade or helping to regenerate local economies. Conceivably, could be a credit union, could be supplier of resources, nursery or tools or you name it, right?
Be a school.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Educational, yeah.
Yeah.
All of us who are consulting in regenerative space. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
similar to what organic did for organic, which years ago I spoke to Paul Hawken, founder of Smyth and Hawken. He's created drawdown.org about Permaganic. And he was telling me how he was involved at the ground level of organics back in the 60s. And it really wasn't established for another 30 years. You know, it was established by the 70s and 80s for sure. But it really became a national thing, you know, once the USDA adopted it for, you know, some say for better or worse.
So it's a maybe, what do we want to say here? What distinguishes Permaganic authenticated from simple organic certification is that it strongly involves all the ethics of permaculture, all three. The earth care, of course, you know, we don't want to pollute anything. We want to regenerate the soil and all those, and ecosystems. But people care and fair share as well. And so every enterprise or farm that's enrolled in Permaganics is expected to demonstrate in each of those three areas of ethical expression how they're doing it. What are they doing? What are they giving to the community? How are they taking care of people? How are they taking care of the land that might be under their stewardship?
Those are really the highest ethics that I've found in the sustainability movement. I actually have critiqued a lot. There's another business model of ethics, which is people, planet, profit. And it's interesting because it's very different. The ethics of permaculture, which the third one instead of profit is return the surplus to the first two.
Yeah, help and regenerate other systems because we're not alone.
And also that earth is first and then the people, which can't have sustainable societies without, sustainable cultures, and you can't support people without taking care of the earth first.
I'd like to jump in and just make a quick comment. I was speaking to the Climate Safe Villages group, so I was studying their website and everything they do, and I was shocked that no mention of ethics. They say, we're about sustainability, we're about this, but to say, what are your core values? It was, grossly absent, and I only know that because of the permaculture ethics. I don't know if it would have been on my radar. What are you really about? Can you get down to it?
And that sets your ship forward, where your ethics are and how you sail. And that's where, the triple bottom line as the 3 Ps, or the people, planet, profit, was established in the early 90s after permaculture had established its own ethics in the mid 80s. It really, we're seeing the gross imbalance of profit, the amount of billionaires, which I always explain to people how long it would take 1 billion seconds versus 1 million seconds, which is, gives you perception of just how much $1 billion is. So, but
A trillion.
So I had this guy recently come up to me, and he hands me this little box, and then he ran off. I opened it up, and inside of it was this little tiny keychain compass, that kind of comes with a backpack attached to the zipper or something, right? But on the back of the compass, it said moral. So I put it all together. The guy gave me a moral compass. And I think, that's an amazing part of the permaculture design work, is that there is a set of ethics that's really easy to articulate and communicate to anyone and expand upon it, how they feel about it, all their different things, and, there's, hierarchy of it, that's something I've heard come up a couple of times in here, the hierarchy of, this, perhaps this concept or way of designing it is going to be hitting those principles in a higher tone. And I love that we're talking about that, and finding that design to get to that point where we're able to articulate that and feel that, communicate that, and even quantify it into spreadsheets. It's fascinating.
Well, I was fortunate at one point in my teaching career to have been invited to teach at Paul Smith's college, used to be called the College of the Adirondacks, way up north in the North Woods. And there was a man there who was a professor at the college, and he taught philosophy. And he made the point to me over several months, back and forth in conversation, that the permaculture ethics are they're simplified into this triad, which we can easily articulate, as Ande says, but they're very, very much in line with the ethics of Albert Schweitzer, who wrote significantly about those in the early 20th century. His work, of course, if some of you know, he was a doctor. He went to the Belgian Congo, and he treated people there who were without medical support. But he was also a great thinker and writer ethically, and his ethics are entirely embracing of this triad that permaculture expresses. So we're not out there, we didn't just land from the moon. We're growing out of deep human traditions.
Ancient.
I also like to say it's one of the best planetary processes to deindustrialize. All these cultures around the world have known how to live sustainably, but once they industrialize, they may have forgotten, as many of us may have, how to reconnect with the land. And so that's where Permaganic and obviously permaculture and all this stuff really helps us redirect back to and reconnect our ecosystems.
Well, I think it's safe to say we're all enthusiasts about permaculture here. So the question is, how do we take it to another level? How do we do together and coordinate and collaborate in many ways so that our own individual efforts can be enhanced and that something more emerges out of the collective, like trees emerge out of weeds, that we get a canopy here that can help others in their journeys and efforts.
Exactly. And that was what I wanted to ask of all of those here. What would you like to see? What would you like to do? What are your visions? What are your questions? And I would love to maybe have people introduce themselves, where they're from in that process.
I can start. Should I go?
Yeah, start, Kelly.
Yep.
So my name is Kelly Clark, and I just joined helping out organizing the Convergence in the spring, and joined the board this summer and or fall. And I'm very enthusiastic about developing bioregional cultures. And I see a lot. So the way I see it, the Great Rivers and Lakes region is made up of a number of different bioregions. And to me, the bioregional scale is a scale that I feel sort of comfortable trying to act in. And I imagine there are other people that feel that way too. And so I'm sort of excited about the idea of us helping catalyze bioregionally based sort of hubs within the GRLPI. And so that's where my interest is.
Great, thank you. Anyone else, any thoughts, questions?
I could go ahead. My name is Susan Majercak. Sorry, my face isn't coming up. I met Kelly through foraging groups, and I worked on the Ohio foraging event, the wild food event last year, planning it again this year. And I love the idea of the regional hubs. The little size of that, like the smallest part of that hub, is something that I'm interested in. So, with foraging, I like to eat with the seasons and, learn and teach people how to, forage food and how to save it and cook it and all those things. And I'm also part of a local Buy Nothing Facebook group, if you've ever heard of those. And I think that's a little bit like a mini version of what you're hoping to build. Then at Stowe Monroe Falls, it's called Buy Nothing, BUY, like don't buy anything. And you can give and say what you're giving, or you can say in search of, and people respond. Like in this area, it's huge. And they're giving clothes, kids' clothes, beds, mattresses, furniture, small things, big things. And so we're kind of creating a little culture of reusing things here in this area. And I feel like that, idea, but with other skills, it would be really great to have, things like gardening, foraging, food preservation, all different kinds of supports like that. Some of that is probably a little more understandable to people if they don't know what permaculture is. And so it might be a good way to build community.
Fantastic suggestion, Susan. I love that one. I'm going to be going onto Facebook now to see if there's anything like it here where I am in Southeast Michigan. Certainly from my perspective, one of the things that falls into that is education. And, we promoted the PCX earlier, the Permaculture Crossing. And I've had, the opportunity to be on there and attend events already, which are, all free and presented by permaculturists. And, I learned a lot from the one I attended. I taught at one, and just think that there's a great way that we can help each other with education within those bioregions. So I know Kelly's put on a lot of events. I'm intending to do the same, and speaking to what my interests are. I want to create a permaculture demonstration facility here at my place in Michigan. I've been able to recently acquire some extra land, which facilitates that. So over the last 18 months, I've gone from 2.3 acres, which was mostly sitting under barns and concrete, to an additional 4.6 acres of land, and now access to a further 40. So when we talk about all of the different opportunities that presents, it could be quite a good demonstration facility. And now, having been granted the access to that land, I'm on the hunt for all of the resources to put it all together in a fashion which shows great stewardship and can demonstrate it to others. Julia, who you see on screen here, is the first of what I hope will be many people. We talked over breakfast this morning for the first time in a week that we need 8 or 10 or 20 more people like her who can come and help. So I'm looking to manifest people, and part of that is to be able to provide them with the rewards for being here and all the work that they contribute. So I think this venue within our Great Rivers and Lakes Permaculture Institute and within PINA is a great way to start looking for those types of resources. And I think the more we can share about stuff like that would be great. And I'd love to have other people come and teach here as well as part of that. So, and with that, I will admit a new guest and hand over.
Yeah.
Well, I want to speak up because Susan, as well as sharing my name, shared so many of my interests, and what you said was so exciting, and kind of my mind's exploding on how to organize something like Buy Nothing, because food and personal responsibility toward the our economic choices are high on my list of priorities, the things about permaculture that interest me most. And I am now the director of the Cincinnati Permaculture Institute. Braden passed the baton to me a couple years ago, and kind of getting my bearings and running the PDC the way he had for 15 years here, and working with Ande a lot on that. And
yeah, we love it.
Also, we're trying to do, I'm like a doer. I'm not a great designer. I'm not a patient person. I don't like those small, slow solutions come later after I make my mistakes. But, we've been running around planting food forests and forage gardens with some grant money we got. We have a wonderful marketing person. Our PR person is a wonderful professional and quite the wordsmith and talented, Canva user. And so I know one thing CPI can offer is mutual promotion of all these activities, and she would love nothing better than to connect us all in, at the permaculture crossing, etc. And I just want to shut up and listen to everybody else again. Thanks.
Yeah, we love that, Susan. Susan, I just gotta say though, I don't know if I buy that don't buy nothing thing. So, like, if I'm gonna really do no buy nothing, then I'm not gonna buy nothing. So I'm not gonna buy that. We're gonna have to explore that more.
Right. Well, they're buying. How about buying less? But it's called buy nothing. And actually, one year I was doing a tree nut collection for the Nature Conservancy, and I posted it on Buy Nothing. And I spent 3 days going around to people's yards who volunteered and got all kinds of tree nuts and, brought them to the Nature Conservancy so they could plant, different genetic trees in certain areas. And they give, I got the other day I picked up, someone cut branches off the bottom of their Christmas tree. So, every year at this time I put in search of whatever you cut off the bottom of your Christmas tree. So I got that, and that's what I'm going to use to make my wreath. It's really, if you love the Buy Nothing group, you can do a lot with it. It's very fun.
I think it's amazing. I've been celebrating Buy Nothing Day the day after Thanksgiving since the early 90s when Adbusters was promoting it back then, and I kind of tuned into that, and it's kind of fun. More people have tuned into Buy Nothing Day on now they've moved in on us with Cyber Monday, so we got to keep it up, I think there's a lot to be said with that. There's a lot of creativity when you're not buying things. Like when you go to work on a construction project, a lot of times it's just really quick to go to the big box store and be like, yeah, I'll go purchase this, and that. It's all quantifiable. You can put it on a little Excel spreadsheet. But what if we got some more things accessible to us, like coppice and different things like that? That's something I've been exploring for years now, and different plants like that, slowly building up natural materials to work with. And I don't know, it's fun to kind of take on, I've had friends that do the grocery store free thing, and they go for that effort of getting all their food from places that aren't grocery stores, farmers markets, foraging, friends, all the things like that. But, what about our creative art supplies, our building supplies and whatnot too? Let's keep trading those kind of things. And I don't know, the Buy Nothing concept, it's amazing. Really, there's all kinds of new products that people could come up with, but really, do we need more bottles? Do we need more windows? Do we need more metal poles? Do we need all these things? There's so many of them in our planet already that are just discarded, tossed to the side, thrown in dumpster bins. And Buy Nothing, let's use what we have on this earth. We got so many cool things fabricated from the Industrial Revolution already.
And Susan, it sounds like you and I may be neighbors. So maybe we can talk more about Permaculture Akron, which sort of fell to the wayside as the pandemic hit.
Okay. Yeah. I really enjoy organizing groups of people. Mm-hmm. I personally am not super organized for some reason, but I love to get groups of people together and do things like that. I'm good at. So
great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Anybody else want to share what you, who you are, what you'd like to see, do, how we can work together to create some action? Whether it's at the, the 6-state region working with GRLPI or, at your individual, more at the, I don't know what we call it, the bioregional, more the the smaller areas.
Yeah, we want to hear from everybody, even Ani. Ani, do you got anything to say? What do you think about permaculture and the Great Rivers and Lakes Permaculture Institute's area that we're talking about? What do you think, Ani?
He's getting shy. You know,
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
Okay, because my perspective is quite a bit different. I have a marketing agency, and so and it's 3 pillars, which are planet, people, and profit. That magic, nasty word, because and I am interested in bringing permaculture out of the silo. Because, you know, permaculture people talk to other permaculture people, and that conventional farmer down the road needs to know that permaculture, regenerative, whatever, is beneficial to their bottom line. And really, when it comes down to it, we can buy nothing, or we can make things so that people have an income. And as soon as economics rears its head into these conversations, then we get the attention of the broader public. And so that's my take on permaculture. I have a permaculture farm, and it's in process, like they all are. And I live on a main road, and so people go by my place all the time and see the process of how a permaculture forest becomes. And that's an educational piece which goes toward that economic piece. They see it enough times, they're going to see that those fruit trees are bearing fruit. And the nut trees are growing. And so those are the little things that you can do at the individual level, but I'm not about the silo. I am about let's make this big. Right. That's what I am interested in here.
Awesome, Jackie. That's great to hear. I think there's a lot of us here could benefit from some additional marketing agency skills within our individual businesses, and not to put too fine a point on it, but the profit motive for me is fairly high, because the more money that I bring into my business enables me to hire more people and serve more people. So that's a real need I think each of us has. I mean, we all have money that we have to spend in this world. It's unfortunate that, not everything is free. We have property taxes to pay, we have insurance that we have to pay, et cetera, et cetera. And, the economic model of this country is very much based on capitalism. I'm not going to comment whether that's good or bad, but it's the world that we live in. And, the old saying is that money makes the world go around. So, for me personally, I have to generate a certain amount of that. It's now a lot less than it used to be. I've downsized considerably my income from when I was a chemical engineer. And I think each of us can benefit from continuing to promote businesses that do raise money so that we can grow what we do, literally.
And I'll chime in a little bit too. I teach at the University of Cincinnati, and we have a lot of students. I actually teach in industrial design, and a lot of the work that I do is bringing permaculture into products. And some of our students, they're now making regeneratively grown materials that are going into shoes that you can buy online. One company, I was just looking at them the other day, Allbirds, which was started by an alum from University of Cincinnati. And years ago they came and spoke, the CEO did, and he was a year ahead of me in school. And he asked how many people know about their carbon footprint, all that kind of stuff. And anyways, afterwards I went up and talked to him about regenerative agriculture and permaculture. And they just launched a prototype shoe based on farms in New Zealand that would sequester more carbon than it takes to produce the shoe. So it's just where you put that profit. Do you hoard it for yourself, or do you spread it amongst the community and also support the regeneration of the earth with that profit? And everyone, every living organism is generating a profit. It's just how that profit is stored and how it's shared And that's really the beauty, I think, of ecosystems is, observing. As someone posted the other day about economics, and, I was like, look at how a tree does economics in a forest. It's a very different model. It doesn't hoard, it shares it with, I just this fall watching all the acorns fall, you can see all the squirrels eating them all, and the squirrels help plant the new trees as well, so you do need, and we need to do this on a large scale. We need to get it, across all systems, and marketers, can be a great resource to help spread the word. That's how, with us here in Cincinnati, and we've tried to do the same with GRLPI, is really use marketing as a tool to get the word out, because it really does take awareness and get it out of the silos. So.
And I'll take a moment right now to plug that we are planning to have an outreach committee meeting on Tuesday at 5:30. And so we invite all of you to join us at that meeting. And I don't know, Graham, how we are going to get the word out. Graham is our board member who's been hosting us through the Zoom and helping us get that, use this as a platform. So,
yes, Sabrena, thanks on that. That was published as well with the invite for this meeting in the newsletter. So that's been sent out twice now. I think the next step that we should take is to put that into the Facebook group, and I'm going to find the link for that right now and post it in the chat here as well.
Wonderful, thank you. So I hope everybody will join us. I know that I'm chair of the outreach committee, and I'm excited that Jackie has offered to join us and take some leadership. We would welcome anybody who wants to participate to come on Tuesday at 5:30 for that Zoom conversation and see how we can move forward on the outreach. And we have not yet scheduled, I saw in the chat there was conversation about the events circle. We do need to schedule an events circle because right now we have a new year ahead of us. And so coming up with, are we going to do salons like we did in previous years? Are we going to schedule our convergence? Who are we going to work with? Putting together these interest groups of people that want to focus on, helping put that together. So we really, really could use as much help as possible. If you're interested in events and putting that together, we should schedule an events circle here very soon, possibly the last of December after Christmas or very first of January. So I just put that as an aside, and we can talk about that in a few minutes as to how it might, maybe Graham, if we could, I don't know if Zoom has a means or if we can send out to everybody, when to meet and just open it back up to the general meeting. But it might be good to get something on the calendar, even potentially today.
I'd like to comment on events, but I see that Kelly's had her hand up for a bit. Maybe you want to get into the conversation.
Thank you.
Well, I was I was trying to lower my hand because I'm not sure, but in terms of like the siloing and the economics, I think this bioregional concept has a lot of potential for bringing in all those aspects. Because when you think about sort of trying to develop your bioregion, it's all of this stuff. And I think permaculture has to me, like, all the way I think is permaculture. Like, that's become the way I think about everything. And I think that at the bioregional level is a really great level to sort of think very holistically about all this stuff. And putting it all together. So anyway, that's just what I...
Yeah. So if I can come back here, I'll put on my treasurer's hat as GRLPI's money guy and say that when we put on events and people come and gather, the organization has a little surplus to do something with. And when we don't, it erodes away, or, we continue to pay the bills and nothing comes in. But people seem to be very happy to contribute a little extra when they can enjoy the company of others, experience camaraderie, exchange, share food, ideas, see new places, that sort of thing. So it's really important for us. And this has been the basis for our success to date, is to put on events. Gatherings, particularly live gatherings, are valuable. So the events committee is an important motor to drive the organization. And the organization just represents our aspirations, our collective aspirations, to do more together and to create a greater presence for permaculture in our regions.
And those events are also very, very successful from a membership perspective as well. So like the convergence that we've just completed has resulted in quite a number of new members. So we should see those events as serving multiple purposes, function stacking in permaculture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would encourage any of you who haven't joined GRLPI yet to consider doing so. You can do it at greatriversandlakes.org and sign up there. It's $30 for a year, and it helps keep the lights on, keep things happening, enable us to have meetings like this and other places.
I will throw out to those that haven't spoken, if you would wish to introduce yourself and, share, ask questions, give thoughts.
Hey, Craig, I saw in the chat that you said you had some ideas on events. Would you like to share those now, if you can?
Sure. Well, okay. So here's just one example. Russon Family Farms, which, by the way, is a Permaganic authenticated farm, just got funding from NRCS for a hoop house. We're going to do a community build. That means a person, a representative from the company from whom we purchased the high tunnel is going to supervise the build, but we have to provide the human resources to actually do the work. I have enough human resources to cover it right now. I do, but we could invite members of GRLPI to come and participate in the construction of the high tunnel, just as a way to learn how to build high tunnels. Mm-hmm. I love the convergence. I love the convergence, but I have to tell you, I have a preference for hands-on learning rather than sitting and listening. And this would be, if people wanted to come and participate in the construction of the high tunnel, would be a way for them to learn about, to develop skills that they may or may not have had. I have another idea. So Russon Family Farms has, we have 40 acres on which we have just expanded the wetlands, and we are going to surround those wetlands with native grass and wildflowers. Well, right in the middle of that parcel, there are some woods, and there are like a boatload of downed trees, which would be fuel for wildfires. So I know that maybe it's not GRLPI, but I know that PINA has a wildfire prevention program. Like another event could be, to invite people to come to the farm and help, extract all of that, all of those downed trees, which would be, fuel for a wildfire. And that would be a great way to learn skills, develop a new skill set. So those are just a couple of ideas, examples of a couple of ideas that I've had.
I think they're both great ideas, and I've seen the second one work very well with a permaculture blitz or permablitz done, where a person cleared up their property in a day of all the downed wood on about 15 acres, and then turned it into wood chips, turned it into mushroom logs. Just incredible, great way to clean up, and sometimes that's necessary, and get the work done. And they provided the food for the day. They provided some entertainment for the day. Everybody had a wonderful time. There's probably 40 or 50 people showed up to that. So very successful.
Peter?
I agree. We should look for opportunities to have these permablitzes or work bees where neighbors and friends can help out to advance our individual projects and try to rotate those around. It's a really powerful way to build solidarity. And it's just as a footnote to this, what Craig mentions about PINA. PINA did a pilot program in Oregon and Colorado to develop techniques and understanding about how to convert surplus fuels. Primarily, we see these in the Western forests, but now fires are happening in New York, New England, the upper Midwest. There's too much, slash and material and too dry conditions in our forests to turn that into biochar and put it back into the forest soil where it can hold moisture and nutrient and it help regenerate the remaining trees. So I think the key element in that, of course, there's organization and people and labor and all that, but the key element is the open-topped or flame-topped kilns, portable kilns that are made. They're just steel panels, but a particularly clever mechanical design that ensures that the air goes in a certain way and you don't burn all the fuel off into ash. You get actual charcoal. That's basically atmospheric carbon that's going to stay in the soil. We, as GRLPI, could potentially acquire one of those and move it around the bioregion for these kinds of events. They're not that expensive. I mean, a couple of $1,000 we could easily afford. And I'm well connected to the manufacturer, so we can consider that as a potential project if we have some of our surplus.
Can you send me the link for that anyway, Peter? Because I have great need for biochar production from the massive amount of wood that I've got here.
Okay.
Along those same lines, I know Glenn has a subsoiler, keyline subsoiler that he has had move around the community around the Midwest.
That's a little pricier item, but yes, it's an important one.
I know one of our students, Lisa Helm, she ended up using it at some point. So, but I don't know, Glenn,
if I may, I may jump in. I'm in, I'm right. Talk to Lisa. She's trying to track it down again and get around it. I don't know what it is. I'm in Northern Ohio. She's there in Southern Ohio. I do want to thank you for some of the some of these comments here are exceptional. Biochar is certainly appropriate in many areas. I'm speaking from a coffee house in East Cleveland, and I'm looking at a couple of vacant areas here. It's a forest city in Ohio, and also the most dangerous and unsupported. And there's a lot of opportunity. It's an amazing opportunity here, and I think immediate demand right now is for. They have a business called a fermented food business that is now East Cleveland owned, and the people managing and owning the coffee shop and Wake Ramen fermented foods are interested in getting more vegetables grown in East Cleveland, closing the loop as much as possible, so vegetable growing is big. But there are many, I see, also a lot of potential for incorporating permaculture and especially there's a lot of interest in growing fruit. I think, intelligent design here could go a long way. So I'm supporting this. You know, I don't have much of a backyard to deal with, and there are plenty of issues there. There would be a lot of challenges, but you know, helping out elsewhere with, you know, what I understand about the challenges of getting things to work in highly impacted soils from glaciation in this region, and from dealing with city issues. And I think, Peter, I took your permaculture course in 2008 and ran into, you had Jean Loria there, and she was, shortly after we met, she's a water expert, but she helped, she designed and got implemented a biocellar in nearby in the Huff region of Klienman, another underserved and unsupported area. And there, you know, there are a lot of vacant houses here with cellars, and so I am trying to get back in touch with Jean and seeing if she can maybe give some guidance here. So I think a lot of opportunities, not just permaculture, but, you know, just helping to redesign the communities and support the communities and find ways to get their staple needs supported. And so anyway, I've got to run, but so
thanks for pitching in, Glenn. We're glad to hear from you.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah.
Stay in touch.
Okay, I'll try. Thanks. And one more thing. I'm been working with Kelly. I mean, I'm supporting others. I just came from Acres USA conference in Wisconsin, and you know, there's a lot of ranchers there and things like that. But you know, I'm also definitely on board with working with projects locally, and Kelly and I helped design and implement a mini forest on her property, and there's a lot of discussion about the mini forest concept, and I think it can dovetail nicely into permaculture design thinking as well.
Awesome ideas. And yeah, Glenn, I was just in Wisconsin myself.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I was just at the Acres USA conference myself the last week, so.
Chris, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, thanks. Just finally popped on face-to-face to say hello. Yeah, and share a few things. So, though I probably won't have time to help in organizing events with GRLPI in this next year, so I hesitate to say, hey, do this, do that. So that's my caveat for I'm maybe not giving my labor, so I don't demand anything. But I will say I put a vote in for events being valuable, whether or not I myself or others can always make it to all of them. I think it's a great way to provide value to members or potential members. I think it's a great early adopter thing to just keep promoting events that do exist, and the labor of organizing them. So I appreciate those who are organizing those events and sharing about it. And actually, I was going to say, like, hey, more events, that's great, or really well done events. But also something I really loved to see from PINA within the past couple of years actually was that I was going to say this, and then Peter brought it up, is the biochar video. But particularly the video, like I thought that was a really great thing to provide as an organizing body. A lot of us in this room are technically proficient and practitioners and really capable of stuff, but we don't always have the time to take the step back, create a tool for observing the work that we do, a way to interface with the broader public. And sometimes we host events and we, put together a talk and break down a PowerPoint and share. But creating those kind of videos, I think, are a really great service to the community. If there's a desire with that biochar thing, actually do have a Ring of Fire here in Cincinnati. So I know Peter was talking about maybe getting one. I have one here. We bought it with grant funds a year ago, and then just kept running into difficulties trying to burn in the city. So that was the intention, was trying to light, large fires. And I just haven't taken the time to fight through enough of the relationships with fire chiefs and whatnot to make that happen. But maybe in the future we'll figure that out in the city. But anyway, there is one here. If there's a desire to, set up an event, teach people, and then maybe create some content, some video to share about the possibility of that. Other than that, happy to talk with people in the coming year about anything agroforestry, just a little bit of for those in the room who I don't know, which is maybe half of us here. I help run a group called the Common Orchard Project in Cincinnati. We help people plant public orchards, all permaculture, ecological, lots of fun plants in there. We've done about 40 so far. I also am an agroforester on the other side of the state in Athens, Ohio, planting chestnuts and pawpaws. Got 2 different farms, about 2,500 nut trees out there, and then what are numbers? We planted 1,000 hazelnut. Who knows how many of those will produce? But that was a fun day. If there's other folks who want to connect about that, happy to. But organizing events, making videos, those are curiosities for mine, and it's value that this group and others have provided to me. So I appreciate the work that's done there.
Awesome ideas, Chris. Thank you.
I want to share something too. I appreciate all of you. You are all doing amazing things, and I'm the kind of person that promotes things even if I can't make it to it. If I see it's something that's promoting the bigger ecosystem that is, I'm going to share it with people when I think that they might be able to connect into it, whether they do or don't. I appreciate when other people do that for me. And I've been really excited to work with CPI again with Susan VonderHaar here and Felix and the other people. We're going to be doing a 5-week PDC at my place. I'm really excited. I feel my place is probably my most potent teaching ground for me right now, going into my 16th season here. And just that network, though, that excitement that comes from when teams come together, encouraging and supporting each other, collaborating. Let's do it. Let's grow. That's the outreach. Let's keep outreaching to others to connect with us. And I know we've talked about buy nothing, this and that. I do think that if you have any capital out there, people, and you want to invest in something good, become a member, general member, a professional member of GRLPI. I think it's a great growing organization that's got a lot of history earlier. Thank you, Peter, for sharing a lot of the earlier history on how that came together in the circles. And this has been a really amazing meeting. I know I really need to bounce out of here. I have an event here at my house today. It's kind of a first of a series, and I'm pretty serious about it, as funny as I might be in the middle of all my seriousness. It's, just how I flow. I really think this has been a really awesome meeting. It's really great connecting with you all and hearing our voices, sharing voices, seeing your faces. And, I look forward to these convergences where we all get to be together in real life. And, again, I'm going to tap into my biological intelligence, put my feet on the earth, my hands on the earth, and I know I'll be connecting with you guys and sending you things, through the biological intelligence. It's not spreadsheets or mathematical zeros and ones, but, beautiful colors and thoughts and encouragement and support in what you're doing. We're all Hope Stay preppers, preparing for the most hopeful future that we could imagine.
Awesome.
Elf out.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I want to just try and wrap this up in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Ian, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I'm with
Introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. I followed the organization for, I think I found it maybe a year or so ago. I'm in West Michigan and I got about 5 acres and I'm just interested in permaculture. I've been planting some native plants and some fruits and trying to connect. I was involved in biodynamic agriculture, lived on a farm some years ago. So I go way back in this kind of thinking, but I'm getting old now, so I can't do as much.
No.
I'm glad to connect with you guys. Sounds really interesting, and I'm glad you're doing all this stuff that you're talking about.
Thank you, and thank you so much for joining us. It's great to hear about you. Anybody else want to share any other thoughts before we try and come up with a time to meet for the events committee? I know we love to do an events calendar on our website and start, really promoting events through newsletters, not only the GRLPI events, but, events of members, things that are going on in our 6-state region. And then eventually have some mapping too, which we'd mentioned.
Yeah.
If I could throw in another need opportunity, at the Acres USA conference that I just attended, one of the most commonly expressed needs is one of people. Ian's comment brings this to my forefront of my mind again, is that, as people are getting older and looking at potentially retiring, the average age of the American farming community is now in its early 70s. And the question was asked a lot about how to encourage the next generation of not just farmers, but people in permaculture, people in biodynamics, people in regenerative agriculture in general. Acres USA has just gone through that transition, with new ownership of Acres USA and a young gentleman, Taylor Henry, running it. And that was the model, I guess, that was promoted of, how to encourage, recruit, and bring people in. And I can see within our organization and within PINA on the larger scale, we obviously have access to membership of a large organization that can, facilitate bringing people to those who need people, myself being one of them. I'm taking the advanced, steps, at the age of 57 of thinking about what happens to my farm and my property when I'm not here anymore. And that's like when I've left the planet. And so, some people don't have the opportunity of thinking that far ahead. And, some people haven't thought about it at all. And I think, there's a great opportunity within this organization to recruit that next generation of people for those people who do have property and are looking to transition it into some other form. And it's not just the people, but also the economic and business model, or just the general legal model associated with properties like that. Having listened to Mark Cohen talk about community land trusts at the last convergence, that's a model that is not widely adopted in the United States. I think I read that there's only just like 270 of them that I've seen so far. As a stat that have been created with some kind of land management transition plan. So I think that's an opportunity for us. And with that, I'll stop.
Yeah.
2 or 3 of those in Cincinnati, Hamilton County here.
They're pretty widespread. They don't necessarily cover every ounce of territory out there, but there's a lot of land trusts operating, and many of them do pretty good work.
Yeah, probably not publicized very well.
Yeah, they're on the down low. One of our former board members, Chris Guchenritter, worked with land trusts, a lawyer in southeastern Wisconsin, and he was a big help to us at a certain point. PINA has an interest in the same thing, Graham, promoting succession. I have a personal interest, now the age of your average American farmer. I'm in my early 70s, and so is my husband. But we have a family here, and we have help living on farms, so we feel like we're making small steps in the right direction. We'd like to see others be able to do the same. Just FYI, Ian, I asked you in the chat if you'd tell us where you are in West Michigan, because I'm at Montague, which is the very northern end of Muskegon County, and would welcome a visit or connection with you or anybody else here on the call who's nearby. We're on 18 acres, 2/3 of it woods. We grow market vegetables, herbs, mushrooms, fruits, and poultry. for market and for home use. And we've done 3 permaculture courses here, not in the very most recent years because of the pandemic, but I have a long history teaching, and so does Keith. And we will probably return to teaching in some form, whether short workshops or other activities, before we leave this veil. All right, maybe that's enough. We welcome any of you as visitors or communicants. And I'm really pleased and proud to know most of you and to know a little bit about what you're doing, because it's so valuable. Chris Smyth didn't say it, but he's a nearly completed diploma candidate in the PINA diploma program.
Who knows how long?
Well, we're going to start sending a team out to get you finished soon. If
it's winter, so
I know. If you ought to do it, you ought to do it. Craig and his wife, Karen, are stewarding 56 acres, and they have enrolled some of them in the Permaganic Authenticated program, which our farm here in Montague also is in. And, I know a little bit about many of you, and I realize how valuable and important all of your contributions are, just what you're doing. So coming together, I see huge potentials here. Thanks.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody that helped me put this together. I ended up with being sick all week, and everybody helped really pull this together. So I'm very appreciative of the board and all of those. Yeah. I really appreciate everyone coming and joining the conversation, because this is really urgent work. We're heading into winter. I would love to see us get something going with, outreach, get lots going on with our events set up, and then start building out our membership and moving into a really vibrant and powerful organization that can link all of the hubs that we have in the different communities, which I think is essential. So can we schedule an events circle right now? Or do you want to try and send out something after as a how to or when to meet email? Maybe that would be easier done.
Sabrena, one thing I did was I did make a Google form just to survey people's interest in being involved in any of the...
What the form?